see it. So basically, I'm going to concentrate on one part of the shadow economy, namely non-disclosure of income. And I'm going to talk about an institution that is in Poland in operation since 1920. Really, this institution was undergoing many changes. However, the changes are not as substantial as it should be to remove all the flaws from that particular institution. The main purpose of my presentation is really to maybe think about potential place for reconsideration of institution of these types. So basically, I would like to talk about the system, the methods to detect and sanction undeclared and underdeclared income in Poland. I will show you a little bit about frequency and scope of the application of those methods and assess their sustainability in the end. So first of all, in every country, we have sources of income that may be divided into those that are declared to the tax authorities, non-declared or underdeclared. However, in some countries, like in Poland, we also have income not exempt, but not covered by taxation. And in Poland, this income includes something that can't be the subject of legally binding contract. Yeah. And it means that may be an activity that is against the law, but also an activity that is so immoral or unethical that is not punishable by the law. And of course, why I'm saying that, that will be shown later in the presentation. However, let us concentrate now on the methods used by tax officers or tax authorities in general to punish and detect the income that is underdeclared or non-declared. So first, tax authorities are using different sources of information. Those sources are pretty well known. They may be information coming from whistleblowers, from social media, from computer databases, declarations of the taxpayers, and also from some external sources, because some institutions are obliged to transfer the information to the tax authorities. So, for instance, court, notaries, certain financial institutions like banks, trust funds, insurance companies are providing information about taxpayers to the tax authorities. And tax authorities are gathering this type of information, and after that, they are sorting it out and dividing into different groups according to the risk. And of course, some individuals are placed on the list of the Ministry of Finance as those who may be suspected of hiding income. And here you have on that slide examples of those individuals. So of course, if someone was previously convicted for fraud, money laundering, or taking part in fictional transactions, he may be further suspected of hiding income. Certain professions are placed on the list as high-risk individuals, like, for instance, when someone is a chairman of housing cooperatives, managers, or government officials, because they have access to some financial information or some other type of information that is important on the financial markets, it is important for in the public sector. Those may also be suspected of receiving certain type of income and also hiding it. And there is the next group, shareholders and corporations, someone who is conducting a business, because in that area, there is always the huge scale of undeclared income. And then tax authorities are also looking at people that are spending immense immense amount of money on certain things like cars, boats, houses, travels, and so on. And they are comparing their declarations with their expenses. Yeah? And of course, those are the individuals that are suspected of hiding income. And then tax authorities may do few things after finding out that there is potential for the future case. So they may either start a tax audit, or they may start a tax proceeding. And this tax proceeding, of course, in Poland, it may end in two ways. Basically, tax authorities may issue a decision establishing tax liability. And the funny thing is, this decision is issued if the tax authorities, till the end of the procedure, are unable to say what are the real sources of the taxpayer income. However, he has such huge expenditures that there must be something hidden. Yeah, but neither tax authorities nor the taxpayers are not revealing the factual sources of income. They may issue a decision determining tax liability when they find out what the source of income was. For instance, a taxpayer was not properly declaring its income, or was somehow hiding business activities, but tax authorities were able to find it out. It may also be discontinued by force of law if there is no proof that anything was hidden. The difference is when they issue the decision establishing tax liability, they don't have the information about the income, they have information about expenditures and the value of properties accumulated in a tax year. That is why they based the decision on that values, so the value of expenditure and the value of property, and they impose a penalty rate on that equals 75%. Normally, tax would be defined on the basis of income, but in that case, it can't be defined as on the basis of income, so they use expenditures. In the recent years, there are many changes to this institution. However, the problem that this institution poses was not able to be removed. Why? Because two sides have a vested interest to act in a special way. Tax authorities has a vested interest to issue the decision establishing tax liability and proving to the taxpayer that he is hiding something, and the other side, in fact, has an interest to show that the income is stemming either from exempt activities or is stemming from activities that cannot be the subject of a legally binding contract. In the last years, there was something placed into the tax law as an obligation imposed on the tax authorities to identify the factual sources of income, but is not working perfectly. So how efficient are those procedures to detect income? That was 10 years ago, and it was not efficient at that time, and it is not efficient today. So you can see information, tax authorities are collecting huge amounts of information. Only 23% of that is verified. Then in the 6% of cases, proceedings are initiated, and then for only 22% decisions establishing tax liability are issued. And if we compare it with the last year, there are still plenty of cases put aside, cases forwarded for other tax procedures or forwarded to other tax authorities, but tax proceedings initiated are very rare. And so the next problem is that tax assessed in the first instance decision is relatively high, both per decision and in total. However, enforcement procedures are so ineffective that final decisions and the enforcement procedures are able to recover only 24% of the tax that was assessed. Yeah, and basically there are many questions to be asked when it comes to that institution. First of all, should income from illegal sources or income that cannot be the subject of legally binding contract be exempt from taxation or excluded from taxation? Should this income be confiscated? Which tax should be imposed, or which rate should be imposed on the concealed incomes or undisclosed income? And when should tax authorities pass the case forward to the criminal courts for prosecution? And summarizing, it must be said that in Poland we are searching for better solution to solve this problem, because sanctions are imposed on taxpayers who are not able to protect themselves and persuasively dismiss the allegations of the tax authorities. Tax authorities have a vested interest in proving to the taxpayers that they are hiding something, even if they are not. The procedures are not effective, and there is a very doubtful strategy for selection of the information. Thank you very much for your attention. Now, I hope that there are some people. Okay, let me start sharing that. Some people